What's up guys? Today I wanted to do a full archetype overview for Kewl Tune, considering it did just get its first regional top. I'll show the deck list here, but I have a couple different ideas for combos and deck building choices, and I wanted to share them while the iron is hot, so let's just get right into it. So here we are in Omega, and I'll just get started with the archetype overview. The first monster I wanted to talk about is Kewl Tune Rekko. This is the monster that you actually don't necessarily want to normal summon, but is a consistency enabler to get to the lowest end board, which is a copy of Remix. But Rekko is a level 3 Fire Fiend tuner, and if she would be used as synchro material, you can use a monster in your hand. That is a shared effect of all of the Kewl Tune monsters for the main deck that are printed right now. We also have the effect on summon. This is normal or special summon to search for a Kewl Tune or add one from graveyard to hand that is not level 3. And then if she's used as synchro material, she triggers and pops a spell trap on the field. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Consider leaving a like and subscribe so you can help the channel grow. So up next we have the monster that we will be searching off of our Rekko 9 times out of 10, and that is Kewl Tune Mix. She is a level 2 Wind Warrior tuner, has the shared effect of all the Kewl Tune monsters on the field. If she'd be used as synchro material, you can use a monster from your hand. And when she's summoned, she searches or salvages a Kewl Tune monster that's not level 2, kind of like the opposite of Rekko. When she's used as synchro material, she triggers and destroys a monster on the field. So we've talked about the consistency enablers that we don't want to normal summon. What about the one that we do? That's Kewl Tune Q. She's a level 3 light fairy tuner, and on normal summon, she has a powerful effect that allows you to special summon any tuner monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard. The downside of this effect is after it resolves, you're locked into only summoning tuner monsters for the rest of the turn. On the field, she can synchro with a monster in the hand, and when she's used as synchro material, you excavate the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck, banish one of them, and put the other on the top or bottom of their deck. This is powerful, proactive, and reactive disruption that can really change the pace of a grind game by giving your opponent dead draw after dead draw. I was having a hard time deciding what card to cover next, but since the 3 monsters we just talked about are all traditional normal summon pluses, I figured I'd cover this field spell. The field spell gives you an extra normal summon each turn for a tuner monster, which is highly synergistic within the context of this deck for obvious reasons, and then additionally allows you to tribute any monster you control to special summon a Kewl Tune monster from your deck, and subsequently tuner locks you. It also has a random synergy with the level 6 boss monster of the deck to give it an attack stat, because normally it only has defense. So it reads really strong, and I think that's because it is really strong, because it helps you play through hand traps, and it lets you stick bodies that matter and go plus off of them even when you're playing into an established board, or lets you extend even more proactively when you don't get interacted with. And with that, we have covered all of the normal summons in the deck that go plus, and how to do them. But what else exists? There's one more main deck Kewl Tune monster, and it's Kewl Tune Clip. He is a level 2 Dark Thunder tuner, and he has the shared effect of all of the monsters in the archetype to be used as synchro material with something in the hand, but he's also a hand trap. During your opponent's main phase, quick effect, you special summon him from your hand, and then immediately after the effect resolves, you get to synchro summon one synchro tuner monster, and you don't even have to use him as material. Obviously, you're going to have to if you're using this as a turn 0 play, but for follow-up on a turn 1 end board, it's also pretty versatile. And then on top of this, when he's used as synchro material, he randomly banishes one card from your opponent's extra deck face up. The last in-engine card I wanted to cover is Kewl Tune Synchro. It's their quick play spell, and it's really strong. It adds any Kewl Tune card from your deck to your hand, and then immediately after it resolves, you can synchro summon one synchro tuner monster. And you would think it would be a hard once per turn, but you actually get to do it twice, just like a Mulch Army. This is going to let you fix your opening hands in draw phase, dodge Droll and Lockbird, find your optimal normal summon, get your field spell, or get a missing piece for your combo when you've already been hand trapped. The fact that it's a quick play spell and the fact that you can activate it twice make it really compelling for the deck. And with all the main deck engine covered, let's move right into the extra deck. The first synchro I'm talking about is Kewl Tune Trackmaker. He's a level 4 light machine tuner synchro monster, and he goes plus when you summon him. If you synchro summon him, you get to search for any Kewl Tune card in the main deck, and when he's sent to the graveyard as synchro material, he bounces a card your opponent controls. It's really simple, but it goes plus, and it provides a little bit of interaction. It's a nice card to have. It's also the only synchro monster in the archetype that has the shared effect of the main deck monsters to be used on the field with a material in hand. Speaking of the other synchro monsters, let's move on to our primary piece of interaction, which is going to be Kewl Tune Remix. She's a level 5 Dark Warrior synchro tuner, and she gains 1500 attack as long as your opponent has a tuner monster in their graveyard, making her 3k. During your opponent's turn, she has a quick effect to tribute herself and target 2 non-synchro tuners in your graveyard, return one of them to your hand, and if you do, special summon the other. Then immediately after that effect resolves, you can synchro summon 1 synchro tuner monster from your extra deck. It's cool because it lets you trigger the synchro material effects of the other Kewl Tune monsters in the main deck or track maker on your opponent's turn. And proactively, it can be used as a beat stick. Our other level 5 in the archetype is going to be Kewl Tune RS. This one is a level 5 Dark Fiend synchro tuner, and it has the following effect. This card gains 300 attack for each tuner in your graveyard, and once per turn as a quick effect, you can banish a tuner monster from your graveyard to target a card on the field and negate its effects until the end of the turn. It's not quite an Omni, but it's great interaction, and this card's attack stack gets huge quickly. Most of the time, your end board is going to include the interaction of using Remix to get back a copy of Mix and a copy of Reco, and then immediately synchro summon into RS for more interaction on your opponent's turn, as well as 2 pops from Mix and Reco when they're used as material. It's the cornerstone of the deck's interaction, and it's going to be used all the time by this strategy. And our last in-archetype synchro is going to be our level 6 Light Machine synchro tuner, Kewl Tune Loudness War. And I just want to take a second to say he is the most generic of these synchro monsters. He requires 2 tuner monsters as material, but our level 4 Trackmaker requires a Kewl Tune tuner at least as material. Remix, one of the level 5s, requires Mix as a material, and RS requires Reco as material. And while our level 4 provides advantage, our level 5s provide interaction, our level 6 provides protection to our board, with a continuous effect that our tuner monsters, other than itself, can be destroyed by card effects and our opponent can't target them. And its quick effect provides us with one more layer of interaction. When our opponent activates a card or effect, we can banish a Kewl Tune monster from our graveyard, and then we get to activate its effect that would trigger when it was sent to the graveyard as synchro material. And so the card is a little bit underwhelming, but realistically, it does add a little bit of frustration to the end board and makes your opponent think a little bit harder when playing into what you've presented. So let's talk about some of the combos you can present. If you start with Q, you get to summon any tuner from your deck, and this is going to be your first decision point. Most people in the OCG and over to the TCG have decided that Red Nova is going to be the best target, because when you summon it, you gain access to making a Synchro 4 with your 2 tuner monsters, including a Killer Tune monster. This is going to let you synchro into Trackmaker and trigger 3 separate effects. The first is going to be Red Nova to summon a Fire Fiend tuner from your deck. The second is going to be Trackmaker to search for any Kewl Tune card. And the third is going to be Q to look at the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck, banish one of them, and put the other on the top or bottom of the deck, controlling what they draw into your end board. From here, you're going to resolve the effect of Trackmaker to get the field spell or the quick play spell. You're going to resolve the effect of Red Nova to special summon Reco from the deck, and then Reco is going to trigger to search your deck for a Kewl Tune monster that's not level 3. When you're resolving Reco, you come to another decision point, and it kind of comes down to how you want to use your field spell. I've come to the conclusion that using Reco to search Clip is kind of the optimal greedy play here, because then you can activate your field spell, use its effect to tribute the Reco, and summon a copy of Mix from your deck to search for another copy of Reco and add it to your hand because you haven't used Mix's effect yet. From there, you're going to use the Mix and the Reco to synchro into Remix, and then you're going to have the end board of Remix plus Trackmaker plus Clip in hand. Now you can also do this in a way that doesn't require to use this effect. You can use Reco to search for Mix and then immediately synchro into Remix, and use Trackmaker to search for your synchro spell. You can use the synchro spell to search for Clip and do it that way instead, but this is an especially good line if you open the quick play spell, because quick play spell lets you play through Ash on the field spell tribute, and the field spell gives you an extra normal summon. Using the effect of Trackmaker to search for the field spell means you have to play less copies, or you can play more if you want to insulate on early hand traps in the combo. The deck is really flexible with how it presents Trackmaker Clip Remix, and Clip can be used on your opponent's turn to synchro with the Trackmaker on your field to make Loudness War, bounce a card to the hand, and trigger Loudness War later on your opponent's turn for another piece of interaction. You already have the Remix to float into RS for the face-up card negate, and you're going to trigger the graveyard effects of Reco and Mix to pop 2 cards on the field, 1 spell trap, 1 monster. If your Q gets stopped, you can still do this combo if you have Red Nova in your hand. This is an argument to possibly play more. I know that most people have settled on one, but that does kind of bank on the Q resolving, because making the Synchro 4 is actually one of the harder steps in this deck. And if you open Q plus Red Nova, you can get creative and main deck one copy of Wheel Synchron, which will allow you to treat it as a non-tuner on the field, using it to make Visas Amritara to search for a copy of Vanadium Reframing, adding an Omni Negate to your end board. I don't know if people are doing this yet, but my friend and I were talking about this on Discord, looking at all of the tuner monsters you could summon off of Q, trying to figure out how to bolster the end board of Kewl Tune, because we believe that it's really consistent at getting to that remix into Red Seal, Pop, Negate end board. But we were like, what can we do to make this more threatening other than just slamming the deck full of hand traps? And Wheel Synchron is where we landed. And I think that adding more copies of Red Nova or more copies of Field Spell to push through hand traps and interaction and get to Trackmaker anyway, and then using the Q later in the turn, or like using the Q originally when you have the Red Nova plus extension in your hand, and we'll talk more about extension in just a second, but you can get Wheel Synchron and you can add an Omni to your end board, and you can main this or you can side it when you know you're going first. And I'm leaning towards maining it because I just want to play the stupid Red Novas and have the consistency. Anytime I normal a 3, if I get stopped, I'm just going to make Trackmaker and go from there. Not to mention, Wheel Synchron gives you an extra normal summon, replacing the level 3 material that you used on the field for Visas Amritara in many cases. And so we've talked about the quality of one card starters, but let's talk about potential opening hands and why there's so much flexibility within the Kewl Tune strategy. This is because of generic Synchro support that's come out over the years, like Synchro Overtake and Duelist Genesis. There are 2 monsters in the archetype that have named requirements for Synchro materials, and that synergizes perfectly with Synchro Overtake. This is going to let you get access to Reco or Mix directly from your deck to play into your remix line, even when your normal summon gets stopped, even when you don't open Engine. It's a great card in the strategy. Play 3. We also have Duelist Genesis, and this is a little bit more controversial, but I thought I would mention it anyway because it came up in discussion. This card lets you add any spell trap from your deck to your hand that has Synchro in its name. This is going to get us into our Synchro Overtake. This is also going to get us into our Kewl Tune Synchro, freeing up our search for Trackmaker. It does require us to have a tuner in our graveyard to activate it, but this is easy to do, especially if we've hand trapped our opponent when they're going first, or if we've used Clip on our opponent's first turn of the game, or if we've started a play with Q plus Red Nova in hand, or if we've normal summoned Q, we can get into Synchro Overtake off of the Duelist Genesis. It puts more flexibility into the deck. I think I'm going to play 2, but I'm not sure. It does make us lose a little bit more to Droll, but I think that the ceiling it creates is actually worth it. And rounding out the discussion of tech cards, I also wanted to talk about the inclusion of Effect Veiler. This is going to help again when your level 3 normal summon or summon off of Synchro Overtake gets stopped. You can use a Reco or a Q to make Trackmaker and go from there. And you don't even always have to worry about losing the hand trap, because Remix can actually add this card back alongside Ash or Ghost Bell to present even more interaction on your opponent's turn. And I think that just about covers it. Kewl Tune is a really interesting deck that can play super flexibly and consistently present its fundamental core interaction. By including Wheel Synchron, we increase the ceiling just a little bit by relying on the consistency of our opening hands, including more 3-ofs, maybe even a 3-of Red Nova. Veiler is definitely going to be a 3-of in my list, so I'm going to see how Wheel Synchron goes. Let me know what you think of that tech in the comments. I just wanted to also take an opportunity to talk about potential future support for this archetype because I think it bears mentioning. First, 2 of the main deck monsters, Reco and Mix, have named requirement Synchro monsters in the extra deck, being RS and Remix respectively. Q, the other normal summon of the deck, does not have one yet, so I could see us getting a Synchro monster that requires her as a name. Additionally, I could see us getting another main deck monster that's actually level 1. And the reason for this is because of the Synchro material requirements on the Kewl Tune Synchro monsters themselves, that being Trackmaker, RS, and Remix in particular, because they have requirements with 1+ tuners. And with the existing pool of Kewl Tune monsters that exist, there's no real reason for them to do that unless they wanted you to use Red Nova, which, like, 2 Red Novas plus a Clip or 2 Red Novas plus a Mix is so cringe to make Trackmaker that it just makes me think they're going to make a level 1, you know? A level 1 to use with a Reco in your hand, a level 1 to use with a Q in your hand. But maybe I'm coping, who knows? I do want to see what Konami does with this archetype in the future. The tuner lock is quite interesting and the pool isn't that deep, so they can really dig up some new territory with this one, and I hope it's going to make a splash before or after the ban list. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.